Welcome to Culture Warriors Unchained. We're into Christmas season now, Hanukkah, anything, all the holidays around December, which are awesome. We got the lights, we got family, friends, spending time. Yeah, it can be a difficult time. We got a lot going on in the world when it comes to politics, pop culture, but it really does make that sense to kind of get talking to each other, even if they're tough topics, especially if they have an impact on our lives, our daily lives. So we are here tonight to go over that. We got a couple awesome topics to go over. One being the suspect in the National Guard shooting is facing first degree murder. We'll go into that whole thing. It's been a week since that happened, so kind of start to finish, we'll break down what happened there, especially being one of the two soldiers passed away from their wounds in the hospital. So tragically, that hits a lot of us close, especially being a service member, being in the National Guard. It was a different state than where I served, but you feel it nonetheless, and especially being a young soldier too. Just trying to do the right thing. Then we have Tim Walz, our own governor in Minnesota here, and former potential vice president, one heartbeat away from the president. Could have been. He's getting into some trouble here with his own Minnesota HHS. They're got some shady things going on, allegedly. So AK will break that down. Yeah, Tim's kind of been in the spotlight. A lot of the news. I listened to Caroline Levitt's with the White House, and a lot of the talk was on Tim Walz today. So Minnesota just keeps getting a spotlight, whether it's good or bad. The Minnesota Hmong New Year returns, so there was a celebration there. David's going to get into that one, and then the topic that makes sense to me, that's kind of boring to a lot of people, but it makes a little big difference. Trump is talking about removing the income tax, which I'd be grateful that put him up on Mount Rushmore, add another mountain. I don't care. Get rid of the income tax. Taxation is theft. I'm always going to believe that. You can't convince me otherwise. We can figure out. Okay, I'm not going to go on my soapbox about taxes and how things can be paid for, but that is what we got for a show going on. It's going to be a fun time. December 1st. It might be my birthday month. I could talk about that later, and that's fine with our. So you got me, Drew Outstanding. I'm your local veteran, combat veteran, disabled veteran, whatever you want to call it. I, if I can't walk, I try to fly, and that's what I do. I like to talk and challenge myself. But we got David here. David, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Drew. My name is David Webster, and I am also a disabled veteran myself. But in addition to that, I also get to do a lot of local things here in Minnesota with the Frederick Douglass Project. I'm on the board of that as well. Obviously, I get to do this show with you and AK, and that's been an incredible blessing. And I just get to participate in a lot of outreach to the underserved communities here in Minnesota. I care deeply about this state. I care deeply about what we're trying to accomplish here. I think there's a large percentage of the population that's underrepresented, where kind of like what they talk about when the founding fathers put our government together, right? We don't want to be ruled by the bigger cities, right? We don't the oppression of the large population areas to overshadow the rest of the population of this state and the country. And those are the things that are important to be. And yeah, I got to go and participate in the Hmong New Year, and our guest tonight was also there. She and I have done a couple of like two events together now. It's a great time. And yeah, I'm just excited to get into these topics. Some of them are heavy, some of them are fun, but they're all necessary pieces of the conversation.
Excellent. And we got producer Alpha Mike, AM in the background, pushing the buttons, doing awesome things. And then, like David said, we'll bring up Erica, our guest, in a little bit. And AK
Shout
will
out
be
to
here.
AM.
Yep. And then we got AK and AM. AK Camara will be here shortly. He's making sure he's staying healthy, and so he'll be here in a little bit, especially to dive into the Tim Walz. I noticed on X over the weekend, AK was getting into that, so that should be interesting. So yeah, David, do you want to start us off with a topic?
Yeah, absolutely. AM, if you could pull up the, I sent you an article. So I have two different facets to this, but I want to cover the article, and then jump into the actual video that I want us to look at. So over over Thanksgiving week last week, we had the shooting that happened at the Capitol in Washington. It was literally blocks away from the White House. The two National Guard service members, one of them brand new to the military, were attacked. There was a third service member, and he actually, I was reading up on the situation. He engaged the shooter, he engaged the attacker with a pocket knife, because unfortunately for service members, when you're off duty or even sometimes when you're on duty, you're not issued a firearm, and I actually think that's a bigger problem, that we should be addressing in the nation, because especially in the capital, like, you should not be able to go anywhere without, 7 barrels potentially being ready to be aimed at you at any time. Like, that should be a very secure area of the country, and you'd think it would be, but this incident shows that maybe we have some issues there that need to be addressed. But the person I want to highlight, I'm just pulling up this article here, is Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, 20 years old, passed away from her injury. There was a lot of, the weekend was hectic with the news. There was a lot of, like, they both passed away, they're both still alive. It wasn't until the White House kind of came out and confirmed some things. And uh, one of the things that got posted on both X and like Instagram was that Donald Trump already invited the family. They want to do something to honor her and her decision to serve this country, and they're going to have the family come out to the White House, so that they can do something to commemorate, her service and sacrifice. And the shooter, um, we'll go into that here in a minute, but he's one of the, Afghanistan people that came in under Joe Biden's administration. But I don't necessarily want to give him any more time in the sun than he's already had. I think the person I want to highlight is in this topic currently is
Yeah,
Sarah,
but let's talk a
Specialist
little
Sarah.
bit about where that came from. So that
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
the Afghani coming out. What am I thinking of? Just the ending the conflict in Afghanistan. So which started with the plan under Trump was had this good plan to do it kind of the right way, and everything like that. Joe Biden takes over in 2020, and I was serving around that time. I was deployed in that 2018, 2019 when it was that process of that drawdown, and everything looked fine. And then 2020 comes, and it I think believe it got kept getting pushed back, and it just it didn't look like it was going real. I like I said, I was in the serving at the time, and you could tell that it wasn't. It didn't look like it. This was the right move or being done correctly. And then, of course, yeah, it happens around that 2021 time. Is You could see them. Well, first of all, they removed the air support, so that was a big thing, taking away the air support, and then it just went to chaos. And then, what was that on the article? How many service members died in that withdrawal? It was something like 13, 17. Either way,
Yeah.
it was a
Real,
ridiculous
real
amount
quick,
of.
Drew.
Yeah, go
I,
ahead.
I want to keep the conversation going, but we just got an alert. If AM could handle that, looks like our guest is ready to jump back in, and I want to make sure she's a part of the topic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Erica, we just kind of
Hi.
introduced what we're going to talk about. Thank you for being here. Can you tell everybody who you are and what you do with your days?
Of course. Thank you so much for inviting me. Well, my name is Erica Kennedy. I actually work for the Latino community. I have my own radio show in Therapy, Minnesota, or Get Informed, Minnesota. We have about 30,000 followers. And I've been working on behalf of the Latino community for about 15 years. So, and obviously, I'm very worried about what's happening with our state. So I want to unite with all of you to make sure we get the right information to our, our population.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being on, and we're going to go over these topics. Feel free to jump in and just say kind of what you think. We can ask you a couple questions, but the first one we're talking about are the two National Guard soldiers that got injured, and one is now no longer with us from this past week of this attack. From and if I say that right, a person from that Afghanistan withdrawal, and I was just going into the botched withdrawal, the way it went down, and it just went horrible. I remember seeing the plane take off, one of the planes, and people were holding on to the wheel wells and the wheel wells as it was taking off. It was I couldn't believe it. It looked like something out of a movie, and it just should not have gone down. They're passing like babies over the fence to be like, "Hey, soldier, take this," and it's just like this is out of history, but it's happening in the current day, and now we're seeing the ramifications of that, of just this. Let people in and just you can't say anything, otherwise you're being disrespectful. But we got to make sense of these policies and do things the right way, regardless of being, you know, uh, disrespected or offended or something like that. So, have you been following this story at all this past week?
I have. Yeah, unfortunately, I think the girl, the lady who was serving, she died, she passed away. That was a very sad story. I think you are absolutely right. I think we have this culture now that anytime that you say a fact about any minority or any immigrant community, you are targeted like a racist. And saying the truth, it should not be offended to anyone. You know, I'm from Mexico. I know we have a big problem with drug cartels, and I don't get offended. Say, yeah, we do have a problem, and I am happy if the ICE come and get rid of them. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's very sad that we are in a point that everybody use the racist card anytime that you bring a fact what's going on.
And it's such a gray area, and it shouldn't be like that, because
Sure.
if it were true that all people from a certain country, religion, whatever, are so bad, like there would be wars, there would be it would be nonsense, you know. But
Right.
no, every group has good people and bad people,
And bad people.
and we should be judged on a case by case situation. It's
And we
wrong
should be free to point that out.
yes,
And
and
that's
be able
that's
to
where
point
the
it
Yes.
big
out.
issue with the last 2 decades of woke ideology has really destroyed that ability for us to say this person's acting in bad faith, this person's
Hmm.
acting in good faith, but this person needs to go. We need to revoke their
Exactly.
status, their visa, and send them home.
Just like
Um,
raising kids, they're
Drew,
gonna do bad things, and you correct the behavior, and they're not a bad person, but you can't just let it go. Uh, Go back to you, David, with the
oh
story.
yeah, absolutely. So I pulled it up here, and it's an Afghan national that was a suspect, 29 years old. Looks like they took him into custody, and they're actually exploring um, a death penalty with him, which I think is appropriate. But the other piece to this that I wanted to point out is, we had a couple of things happening on Thanksgiving. So we had that happen at the Capitol, and then AM, if you're able to pull up this video, I want us to watch this video. This is from Dearborn, Michigan, right, where we have a similar issue with violence and rioting and some stuff going on. And AM, let me know when that video is ready. And yeah, I just want to get everybody's take on this. So this is Thanksgiving Day in Dearborn, Michigan. One of our big holidays. A piece of American history from our foundation, right? And this is what they're doing in Dearborn.
And we even prepped this. I don't know if it's volume.
So the caption says that Muslims are marching through the streets of Dearborn demanding a revolution. AM, I think that's good. I think we get the idea. Thank you for that.
Yep. Hopefully the
Um,
audience could hear the audio too.
yeah, we pre-prepped that little. We
Oh, okay, great.
pre-played it a little bit to see how it sounds. And obviously, if you're watching, feel free to jump in with a comment and with an opinion on that. Erica, jump into you real quick. What is your take on? I mean, between the shooting in the Capitol and then you have these riots happening in Dearborn, all on the same day on an American holiday, a piece of our national history, our shared history. What's your response or take on that?
My take is I am immigrant, right? And I've been in this country for 30 years. And I learned to assimilate. I am grateful for the opportunity to be in this country, to raise my family here. When I listen these people to come and attack either or military person or just protest or do something like that, it brings me so much shame, so much anger, because the United States of America is the best country in the world. It has welcomed you and give you an opportunity to have peace. As we know, Afghanistan, Somalia, all these countries, they are in war. They are, the circumstances of living there are terrible. They will people be dead. They have no even food. You come to this country to offer you a lot of assistance and a lot of opportunities, and then you spit in the face of that. It makes me very angry, to be honest. And I'm very happy that President Trump want to get rid of them. I'm fully 100% support of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I appreciate you saying that because yeah, it makes a lot of sense where we have this country. You know, everyone we have all these countries and people come here because they want to, because there's opportunity, there's a chance to be better, you know. And so
Yeah.
you come here and you can all right, you know, you can bring your culture too, but you can't destroy I've talked about this before. You can't be a destroyer. You know, you can't go to somebody's
Mhm.
house and it's like, yeah, if they say, you know, you're welcome to the refrigerator, to the cupboard, you know, but you're not going to go into the bedroom or you're not going to go into the, you know, cabinets. You're not going to do, you know, or start a fire or whatever. So it just doesn't
Rob
make
the
sense. You
vault.
know, what's that?
Said rob the vault.
Yeah, rob the vault.
Yeah.
You know, tell them how to raise their kids. There's a certain level, you know, and you have that, you know, understanding when you're at somebody's house and in another country, you're making that like, you know, permanent move. So yeah, you
Yeah,
know, I
you're
appreciate
ultimately a
you.
guest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, especially the people that, okay, like I'm here forever, however you got there, you know, hopefully the right way. And then, yeah, I heard something earlier today. It's like, okay, even I was watching the Patrick Bet David show, and they said even if you're here illegally or you have a company that hurt the EPA or something like that, there's a no. Or it was going to our future topic, the tax evasion kind of stuff, but there's if you let the IRS know or whatever government agent say, it's like, hey, yep, this is going on. I didn't know about it. Now I know about it. I want to get ahead of this before you come after me. Let's figure this out. There's going to be a fine. That's what it should be. It's accountability, you know, and that's my take from it. It's going to be a short term hit. You know, it's going to hurt. But then if you really want to be here long term, figure it out and let's move forward.
Yeah. I want to preface for the sake of the show and for I think we can probably all stand in agreement on this that we are not saying that it's every Muslim immigrant to this country
Of course.
that's behaving in that manner, but I think the Muslim community has a bigger issue with the amount of tribalism that they've brought with them from these other countries where like Erica was talking about, right? They don't have food, they don't have water, they're very poor. There's the land is ravaged by war, by many, many wars that have been going on nonstop. And so over there, tribalism at that level makes sense, right? Like you've all got to stick together at that level and stay alive. The problem is you come here and you bring that mindset with you, and then they'll never speak out against each other, even if one of them's doing something heinous like attacking National Guardsmen or attacking a woman on a bus or marching through the streets during an American holiday and protesting and making it so that people can't just have dinner with their families in peace and quiet. It's that's the big optics issue that they have, is that you don't have people speaking out against that, being like, hey guys, like let's conduct ourselves like good guests in someone else's home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And I
good
Well,
just want to make sure
comparison.
that we said that.
and to be honest, it's also because immigration has changed. So back in the day, people come for an opportunity to work. Um, and during the Biden administration, when they opened the border, they give the green light to terrorist people to come and to do whatever they want. When it's people not vetting, when you don't know who they are. And many immigrants before the border were open, yeah, they crossed the border probably illegally because we have a very dysfunctional immigration law. That's the fact, right? And so it's people who come with opportunities for work. And even though they crossed illegally, they've been working. And back before Biden, none of these immigrants qualify for any federal assistance. So if you don't have a social security or any immigration status, you cannot qualify for no food stamps, no medical care or anything. So these people just come for work and they pay taxes. They have um, what is it? No, no, it's not a social security, but it's a tax ID that you are able to pay taxes. You have to, right? So they pay taxes to America. but they just want, and they are waiting for an opportunity to have any immigration status. But what happened is after Biden became president, he just opened the borders and then himself was bringing people, flying people here without being vetted. So that's when we create a chaos because people who are drug cartels, human traffickers, um, terrorists, they come and do this disaster.
Yeah, you're right. And it's horrible that this is just another, I guess, bump in the road that's just going to add to this more of this just hostility kind of going back and forth. And I'm always going to wonder, like, where's the off ramp? How do we move together in a better way? But week after week is just another like heinous kind of incident
Act of
situation that's
violence.
yeah violence that we now have to discuss this. It's just like
Yep.
one step closer to conflict. And
The
I just
problem
keep
is much like World War II, they're underestimating American resiliency, right? Like there's only so much of this that the American people are going to take
I wonder how
before.
much like
Yeah, it's
what's it
probably
gonna
more than
take.
we want it to be, unfortunately, but there's only so much of it that they're going to take before people start getting, like you're radicalizing people. If that service member's family had all been diehard leftists after that incident, I guarantee you they wouldn't have been.
Yeah,
It's going to be incidents like that that start shifting the tide, and some of it's going to be in a very bad direction. If we can't get these people to sit down at the table and actually come up with a plan of how can you live in peace with us, and not steal our money, not attack our soldiers, not desecrate our churches and our sanctuaries, not cause a nuisance in our communities when we're trying to celebrate our holidays.
yeah, it's wild to me. I keep looking for an off ramp or a way to be united and stuff. That's why that's what this podcast is for, and many other ones, and have these tough conversations and talk logic, talk common sense and solutions. I'm very solution oriented. I'm a planner, and I say, where are we going with this? And when it's just chaos, and that's what many people talk about, that is they're like, oh well, we're just going to let things happen the way they do and then just kind of be okay with it or look the other way, and that's only going to lead to more destruction. uh, Last thoughts on this topic, Erica?
Well, I think something to highlight is unfortunately when these events occur, the main media twist it and start saying, well, it's racism or what we are targeting a group. So I'm glad that David said, well, we are not talking to all the Afghans or all the Somali people, all the Mexican or Hispanics are bad. We are talking about it is a crisis. And where it's a crisis, we have to be dramatic measures, right, to prevent this crisis or to change this crisis,
Yeah.
to improve the crisis. So in this case, of course, it's a collateral damage. So people who is innocent, that probably are gonna have to pay for the people who commit this terrorist attack.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. We'll roll into the next topic. AM, if you got the Trump talking about removing the income tax, because this kind of goes into it, where if you're a citizen or you're paying income tax in Minnesota, it's pretty high, and then we got the
Yeah.
federal one as well. So here's our Newsweek. Donald Trump proposes eliminating the income tax. Yep, Jimmy, right there. President Trump has proposed almost quotation marks eliminating cutting income tax, which he said could be achieved thanks to the effects of his trade policies. In a Thanksgiving message delivered from his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, the president referenced the investment commitments that had been made by other nations, pledges from companies to expand their production presence in the U.S., which is an amazing thing, as well as the revenue occurred from his import taxes. Here's a quote from him: "Over the next couple years, I think we'll substantially be cutting, or maybe even cutting out completely the income tax." Trump said, "We could be almost completely cutting it because the money we're taking in
That impression was spot on.
is going to be so large. It's going to be so large. We're going to be all prosperous. But no, for real, it makes a lot of sense. There was a time in this country where we did not have a federal income tax or state income tax. It was based on trade. It was based on tariffs. Many other things that companies want to pay. You want to be a successful company, you should pay for this stuff, whether it be the roads, and then we got into all these agencies, three-letter regulatories, all these things that just got massive, especially just with the administration part of these, just like colleges as well. It's usually the bloat doesn't come from the experts, the subject matter experts, the people with the knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's this bloat from the administration. I can't remember, it might have been Reagan. Somebody called the fourth branch the bureaucracy. So you have the executive, the judicial, and the legislator, but then you also have that messy middle of the bureaucracy that kind of keeps things from happening, while also collecting our income tax, and income tax meaning our labor. We go out and work, which we're told, to be a good person, to be a provider, to support our community, we go out and work to support these things and to build character as a person. And if whatever that is, 25%, 30%, 50, I know there's some states, Minnesota, California, New York, Illinois, that the amount of taxes getting collected is getting over 50% of what you're taking in between all these many different types of taxes. And it's wild. But this whole thing about, that's why when the tariffs were kind of going on earlier in the year, I'm like, let's see where this goes. This is kind of innovative, because the whole idea of, a company is going to get overregulated, overtaxed, and now they're just going to go somewhere else and use basically slave labor, for lack of a better word. Okay, that's what I never get, is the whole minimum wage, living wage, things like that in America. But then Democrats, leftists, liberals are okay with shipping these companies over and having people in mines, kids even dying of getting these natural resources for cell phones, for any of the stuff that we do. And so, yeah, that's not the answer. Let's figure this out when it comes to getting rid of the income tax and have companies kind of work from here, and it will make more sense. David, what do you think about this whole income tax change and tariffs?
I think that is a great idea. Let's keep more of our money in our pockets. I mean, like we discussed earlier, or like you hinted at earlier with the wall situation. I mean, in Minnesota alone, we have our money going to all sorts of stuff that it shouldn't be going to. And I think that if you want to actually turn this economy around, you need to give people back their buying power so that we can actually buy things and do business here in the U.S., which is what's going to grow the small businesses, the small family-owned shops, the local restaurants. You know what I mean? The people going to local sporting events and things of that nature. We need to have, we need to unlock people's ability to generate wealth and commerce here before we start sending it everywhere else. And the problem with a lot of all the taxes we have is we're seeing it, more and more with the amount of information we have in this current age with all the technology. Most of that money is going overseas, like you were saying, and it's creating jobs somewhere else where they're working for pennies. And it all highlights just the amount of hypocrisy that is on the left, where you have these big corporations that'll come out with the pride flags once a month, or they'll back, the BLM movement when that was happening, or they'll talk about all this inequality, but then they've got, children dying in lithium mines on the other side of the world,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that
And
all
then-
of that to say we should be in charge of where our money is going a lot more than we have been in the last.
Well, and you're involved with
few decades.
nonprofits. Well, think about this. I've heard this recently, where it's like people would spend more or donate more, give more to nonprofits that they are the experts in their area that they're working on, if they had less taxes. So it's like, I'm helping out government programs and people that need it because it's coming out of my taxes just automatically and I don't even feel it. But yeah, what do you think, David? If say if you had 25% more of your income in a year, would you be a little bit more generous?
Oh, absolutely. There's more churches I would be giving to. There's more local organizations that help veterans, that help the Latino community, that help, the Hmong community with people, starting out and going to college and starting businesses and things like all of that stuff. Absolutely, 100%. And, we wouldn't all be working so much overtime. We'd have more time to spend with our families, which also grows the community, and it's better overall for our the social structure of who we are, right? If you're not,
Yeah,
sun up to sundown, you never see your kids. Like that's not good for society either.
exactly.
There's just so many
Erica,
benefits.
what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on taxes?
Sorry, a call was coming in. I am very happy the president have this idea. I think he's actually caring about the American people. And yeah, definitely having, saving that money that will improve our lifestyle for everybody, especially the middle and lower class, because, it's enough that we are very limited in what we can spend. And if we can save the money from taxes, we can probably take a trip. We never been able, we can pay our bills. Um, or have more food on our table, make sure our kids go probably a better school. So I think it's very the people who's gonna enjoy the most is the middle and lower class. Absolutely.
Yeah, I bet it would do two big things where say we're giving less taxes to whatever the federal government, they would, let people go, which tons of people, like I said, that basically can't get fired. If you got a government job, it takes a lot to get let go, which is unheard of to me because that's not profitable, that's not effective. So say those people will get let go, they go into the private sector, and now that's growing that's lowering the unemployment. We get more jobs creation, and then that leads to more people having money to spend. So the economy would grow up, and then also people would have more money to spend in their bank accounts and could do more things like that, lower debt, invest, take things into their own hands, and then we won't have to worry about less about like Social Security, these programs. Uh, yeah, I always wonder about that because I've always been into consulting and teaching when it comes to stuff. Be like, we're not learning about taxes, we're not learning about loans and all these things. We're just throwing our kids and just be like, figure it out, go get $100,000 in loans, and and you got to pay taxes, and then you also got to get your job, and all these things. So yeah, I'd rather have us having more education and then doing it the right way than just handing over money when it comes to
Yeah.
just here you go, federal government, take all this money from us. But Eric, I like how you said about the lower and middle class, and so I would even just categorize that as like the working class. Even say it was up to a certain amount of money per year would be zero tax, and then after that you could do something like a progression or something like that. That's fine. Or even yeah, there's a lot of ways that this can go down. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think it makes a lot more sense of taxing goods that are coming into the country on the cheap for them rather than charging us, and then you get that inflation or that rise. Yeah, taxes it's like it's a boring thing. It's not fun to talk about until you kind of feel it in the pocketbook. And then yeah, now is the time of the year. This is not tax and
As I say, yeah,
financial
beginning
advice,
of the
but
new year, people start to think about it.
yep, then and most people don't even know how taxes work. They think bigger refund equals, whatever, paid less in taxes or something like that. It's like, no, you gave the government a tax-free loan across the whole year, every 2 weeks or whatever the month is. They held on to that, probably collected interest, and then now they're going to give you some scraps back in April or kind of whatever it is. And as soon as
And
I
expect
learned
you to
that, I'm
say
like,
thanks.
what
Yeah.
are we doing? You can lower your contributions of your taxes, save your money the right way. Yeah, it's not easy, it's not fun, it's not sexy, but man, you have a lot more control and knowledge and stuff like this. AK, we're talking about getting rid of the income tax. I want to know how you feel about taxes. Trump suggesting that, you know, we're
I have a
making
rough
more money
idea
from,
based on the flag behind him how he
we're
feels about
making more money
taxes.
from tariffs, and who knows how it'll actually work. But man, wouldn't that be something to kind of go for? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, ultimately, I think that what President Trump sees is that if we can find a way to continue to bring in roughly the same amount of revenue, but we can find ways to use Doge cuts to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse, and we can actually shift to a system that encourages consumerism and purchasing American products. The end result is that you can get rid of the income tax without having to necessarily cut a bunch of government services. And so I think it's a nice way to kind of have both of these issues work in tandem. So like I said, the key really to having a tax base that is based off of tariffs is that it encourages the continuance of both good trade deals for American manufacturers so we can sell our goods and products in other countries without having high tariff barriers. And it also encourages Americans to buy American so that trade deficit doesn't loom as much and that we can continue to collect good money in tariff revenue. And so, yeah, I like it, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not of the mind that, we should have zero taxes and zero government spending and zero government programs. I'm not a libertarian. But I do think that it's important to have conversations about what the government should do. So we've talked before on previous episode, actually. I grew up on welfare, and because of that, I do believe that there should be some type of minimal safety net. But what we have now is
let's talk
just
about that
ridiculous.
real quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we talked about that on a previous episode because there are going to be people that suffer. Even the Bible talks about orphans, widows, and that's an extreme, happens. But what if that can be relied on first by your family and then your extended family, maybe your community, and then a lot of us here are in organizations. What if that person can go to the organization to need help rather than, hey, I'm here in Minnesota, hey, federal government, give me money and stuff like that. Cutting it off at the lowest level possible, I think that would just free up a lot of stuff. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, I think not only do we have to get back as a society to saying like these are things that we should take care of, I think that it's because we have moved away from this notion of taking responsibility for your community. So, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. And I know that within our group, all of us, we all do a lot of volunteering within our community. But I was handing out turkeys with my Lions Club. I'm a member of the Lions in Hugo, Minnesota, and I'm also a member of the Freemasons, the Masonic Lodge out of Forest Lake. And between those two organizations, like we do a bunch of charitable work in the community, and we are a member-driven organization. So we join our clubs, the Lions Club, or join the Freemasons, and we pay a membership due. And then our organization goes out there into the community and we find ways to raise money to help the community. The same happens in churches all across America. But the thing is like how many people from my generation and even from the Gen Zers, the next generation, how many of them have that same spirit and heart of service? And I think what has happened is our government has created, and the Democrats 100% believe this mentality, it's up to the government to take care of our fellow community members. And I actually reject that idea. I believe that the government should have a safety net, but that's like the last possible effort so we don't have people like dying in the street in mass. But I think
and then it can be tracked too. So
right,
if you,
but
if
you're
you
right,
tried
though,
every single level and got up to the federal government, there should be a list to be like, okay, these people definitely need it because they went through all the other levels and now they're here and we're going to help them out. But no, a lot of this money just kind of goes. Rand Paul does like the famous like pork report or whatever once a year, where they talk about we're spending money or we're collecting taxes from you from Alaska to Alabama to Minnesota to go to this grant program that's testing the effects of cocaine on geese. And that's like a real one. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but to aliens, to all this kind of strange, not even mention the
They were making trans Sesame Street
that
for
Okay, that's one of
Peru.
them too. Yep, there's
My
all
home
these-
country, or my country of origin. I'm like, America's my home country. I want to clarify that. I misspoke. That's on me. That's my bad.
studies
Denaturalizing
in
deport. How
gender studies
dare
in
you?
Pakistan. Yeah.
I
Denaturalizing
gotta check my
deport,
door,
baby.
make sure ICE isn't here.
No, that's funny. And then going back to like how it can be helped, like, and then think about it like that. Like, no matter where you are, if you're a citizen in the United States, you're paying federal taxes in some way or another. You know, yeah, there's creative accounting and all that kind of stuff, and pay to play. If you could pay for the accountant $500 and they can save you 2,000, you know, all that kind of stuff. But imagine if we already kind of have it right now where some states don't have income tax. Imagine if there was no federal income tax and some states be like, yeah, we're ramping up our state income tax, but we're going to provide all these services, whatever your New York, your California, Illinois, Minnesota. Imagine, you know, but there's going to be states, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, be like, no, we're going to do it a different. We're not going to charge you based on your labor. We're going to have toll roads or this or that, but it's going to do a different way. But I could talk about taxes all day, all day and night.
Erica, do you have any other thoughts on the taxes?
No, I'm not. I'm not an expert, so I just copy if I can save some money.
Yeah, I seek to understand it. I'm going to make it one day to read the tax code. I heard it's like,
Yeah.
you know, this much and it keeps growing and stuff like that. I need to understand why.
My
something
hat's
that
off to
that
you. I
affects
don't-
all of our
yeah.
life, you know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like you mentioned, Drew, and I'll finish up my point and then we can move on. But ultimately, we used to be a society that did have this belief that as individual citizens that we actually have a responsibility to our communities to take care of our neighbors. And that shift of saying, well, we don't have that responsibility as the government has been, I think, detrimental to our society. So we need to go back to that place where we say we want to take care of our fellow citizens, which kind of ties into like the deportation issue. When there are people that you can blatantly look at and you can say, like, do you view yourself as an American citizen? Do you believe that you would do everything to defend this country against all forces and enemies, foreign and domestic? A lot of people that come into this country without permission, they just don't have that belief. And so then you have to ask yourself, in your community, do you want to take care and help people that aren't willing to do the same back for you? So that's why like all of this really ties into each other. But I do agree, ultimately, my final point is that as we continue to reinforce what it means to be an American and using government policy, I think that we then need to make sure that people take that responsibility seriously. And then we will not need to use taxes to take care of everyone and their grandma. That's something that will go back to how it used to be, which is communities take care of their own. And for those that need a little bit extra help, that's what we can then have our taxes go to. And I think that's an ideal world that we, I think, are working towards now. We just have to continue to push harder and further.
Yeah, and I'll wrap it up right there and say that it's not even what you think is when you pay taxes, it's not going directly to that one person. It's going to, you know, funds, and they're borrowing and they're creating money. And yeah, I'll talk more about that on a different subject when it comes to quantitative easing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, AK, if you're good, we could roll right into your topic when it comes to everything Tim Walz and what he's up to right now. He's kind of been on the spotlight. If you're good to go with that right now.
Yeah, so let's kind of start with it's this surreal moment that we've had happening, at least from my perspective, when it comes to a lot of the revelations that we're starting to see nationally. So there is an X account, it's Department of Human Services, DHS, and in Minnesota, and they've actually created an account that's called Minnesota Staff Fraud Reporting for Department of Health and Human Services. And this account has been blowing up recently. Basically, what happened is that you have a group that's completely comprised of, at this point, 480 state stewards serving with pride and commitment for the people of Minnesota. And they strive for a better Minnesota. And so basically this account on X has been tracking for now, it's been like 2.5 years. They've been tracking and reporting a lot of the fraud that they're seeing occurring. And this account recently got blown up over the weekend because they put out a post, and I'm going to share it with everyone here. But basically, this post that they put out is right now at like 35 million impressions. But they just kind of made their statement, and their statement is very, very simple. It said, pull it up here. Let's see what we can get. The big one. Here we go. Nope, that's not it. Where is it? It was like
Yeah, I mean, just going off that, I do like the idea that more things are transparent. We got X that's showing a lot of stuff, and there's community notes that can kind of change it based on if it's bad information. So I do like having more information about this corruption stuff than have it.
So I'm just going to kind of go through this. So it says Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim Walz know of fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping fraud, but no, we got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring, threats, repression, and did his best to discredit fraud reports. Instead of partnership, we got the full weight of retaliation by Tim Walz, certain DFL members, and an indifferent mainstream media. It's scary, isolating, and left us wondering who we can turn to. I'm not going to read all of this, but here's the point, is that this comes on the back of this New York Times report about how fraud swamped Minnesota's social services system. And as you can see right now, there's 38 million impressions from this post by, again, Minnesota Staff Fraud Reporting Committee. And I think that's what their full name is here. Yeah, it's, why is it so long? The name's so long. But anyways, this has caught the entire national media by storm. You're seeing huge accounts from all across the country retweet this. Actually, just a little bit earlier tonight, I saw that, I think it was Caroline Levitt. Yeah, I'm just going to pull up my account. So Caroline Levitt had posted, and she's the White House press secretary, and this is an official White House communication. Yes, there's something wrong with Walz, and it cost taxpayers $1 billion. President Trump is right. Minnesota has become a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity where refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state. So it reached the level that the White House put out an official communication. So
that's great.
But here's the I'm glad that we're getting national attention.
And here's the thing that's so wild and what's so surreal. If you followed me on X for the last year and a half, I've been talking about this fraud. Last 2 years, 2.5 years, I've been talking about this fraud. And there's a bunch of people in Minnesota that have been as well. So I'm not going to be sour grapes and be like, oh, finally. And then the accounts that get blown up, it feels like they're just starting to talk about it. I don't care. All I care about is that now this has reached the national media attention level of showing how awful of a governor Tim Walz is and how bad the fraud really is here. So I'm just kind of curious from your perspective, Drew, and also from you, David, like, how do you guys feel about finally getting some national spotlight? And I'm curious about your position too, Erica. So that's number one, is how do you feel about this national spotlight? And two, do you think that this finally means that something will be done from the federal government? Are they going to start ripping through investigations? I'm just kind of curious what both of your...
I think so. I listened to Caroline Levitt, talk about it on the press briefing today when it was happening live, or maybe a little bit later. But it was good to hear because you often don't get that perspective. It was funny, she talked about it and saying, what Walz have been doing and the corruption, the HHS, and then, they tie in the Somalia kind of stuff. And all the press could talk about was other topics like the Pete Hegseth stuff. It's like, hey, we're trying to talk about this. This is a big thing going on in the great state of Minnesota. And it's wild. It's fraud. That's what we talk about when we talk about taxes. Of this is where it could be going to, and this stuff needs to be clear. Like I said, I'm glad X is out there. I'm glad that encouraged other social media platforms to kind of say that, oh, we're not going to be so just one-sided. Yeah, every entity is going to have their side that they lean, but yeah. I really like this, that Minnesota's getting more of attention. Hopefully, I guess it's cold out, so that avoids, riots. We just got some snow in Minnesota. Hopefully that avoids any kind of civil unrest or fiery,
It's
but
always
mostly
interesting.
peaceful.
People really believe in something until the snow starts falling, and then all of a sudden it's not worth protesting anymore. I don't know if you guys
I
have noticed
know.
that, Eric. I don't know if you've noticed that too, but people really care about stuff until it starts snowing.
No, that's what I have to say about it. I'm good. I'm glad. Get it out there. Sunlight is the
Do you
best
think anything will
disinfectant.
happen?
I'd say yes, never enough. Money will just get moved around. Organizations, departments will just get a new name, but it gets the public discourse. It gets the public talking about it, and I want to hear from local Minnesotans how they feel about the topic, what they know about it, and yeah, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
out there when I'm with events that I go to, and I want to have these real discussions. David.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And I think obviously shout out to that X account. Everybody, if you're watching this live or if you watch this later on, we should go give them a follow, support them. Obviously they're doing good work over there, kind of putting this information out for all of us to have. Because I mean, we all knew stuff was going on, but like actually getting a confirmation from people on the inside and getting details, that's huge. And yeah, I would agree. I don't think that unfortunately I don't see anybody serving any hard time for any of this. I don't necessarily see that, but I think that if we can create enough momentum and give it enough attention, that we can maybe have some election-based backlash where maybe we start voting in other people.
Yep, get them out of office.
That would
Change
be,
change the
yeah.
Minnesota deep state. What I mean
Yeah,
by
like
that is
like I think there's too many deep pocket connections where I don't think anybody's going to do hard time, but I would like to see some people get voted out of their positions, and I think that's unfortunately probably the best case scenario we can hope for.
yeah, it's more about
But that's
power
still
and
change.
influence. Even
Yeah,
if you're a 22-year-old intern, or not even intern, but working on whatever the campaign or whatever that is, they all have their kind of role to play. And if they don't get checked, they're gonna keep moving up into higher positions, and they're only gonna accumulate more power and decisions, and keep that same bad values. So like I said, I'm all for it. Either try to get them out of office, get them out of this, use the same plays that Democrats, leftists, liberals use against everyone else of, the whatever, the censure, the impeachment, all these different names.
yeah,
Anything more than a strongly worded letter, or
yes, that would
ignoring
be
it
nice.
altogether. Erica, what are your
Erica, what's
thoughts?
your, yeah,
Oh, I'm so sorry, my phone died. Well, I'm super excited. I'm happy that finally we got in the attention we needed. It's been years. I believe, by the way, AK, I think they say that was the first tweet was 6 years ago
Yeah.
and was only like very few, like maybe 100 views, something. But now we have thousands of views. Um, and let me tell you, I'm very upset with Amy Klobuchar, and they just come to TV and they just minimize and um how do you say this word, like remove the attention for the real issue and put it like they're accusing President Trump to a community because they don't want to address the fraud. And all these years, the Democrats haven't do anything about it. It's been happening under their watch. Um, and not only that, they overspend. We have a state who have a surplus, and in a night, they overspend all the money, and now we are in a deficit. So it's not only the fraud, but the overspending of this administration. And all of them are complices or complies in the same game.
Yeah, here's the
So
thing that's fascinating too. Um, Ultimately, the reason I asked that second question about do you think anything will be done, and it sounds, Erica, you can answer that too. Do you think that people are going to be held accountable from like a legal standpoint? Do you think that either the feds will come in and start to, potentially start arresting or charging people? Because there definitely are laws that are being broken. If
100%.
someone knowingly, so just as a quick aside, earlier today, Chris Maddle announced that he's running for governor as a Republican, and he gave a PowerPoint presentation, and he pointed out that there is a federal code, USC 83, I believe it is, and it says that if you knowingly help a crime occur, which would be like committing fraud using federal taxpayer dollars, that in and of itself is a felony. And so I'm just curious, do you think that people will be held accountable? And if not, that's fine. But I'm just curious if you think people will actually be charged or arrested for all of this fraud happening. Not the people committing the fraud, but the people in the government that it seems like knowingly allows this to happen.
You know, AK, actually, I watched the video of, and I think we need to do a petition asking Pam Bundy to do something about this. And I think we have enough evidence that is last being broken, not only for the people who commit the fraud, but our government in Minnesota, they've been part of that and allowed the fraud that has happened. So I think it is a possibility, and I would love to see that happening. But I think people in Minnesota should be literally commit to request that. Unfortunately, otherwise they're just gonna walk around like nothing happened.
Yeah, and the thing is, I believe that everyone is right in regards to like the likelihood of people being held to account is relatively low. And I know that especially for you, Drew, you've been like, hey, bro, I'm waiting still for accountability from COVID. Whether you're talking about forcing people to take an experimental drug or people that like there was a report that just came out at the end of last week saying that during mRNA trials that at least one child died during the trial and they hid that information. And so I agree that like we're not a really good track record, but I will say this, that especially in the state of Minnesota, and to your point, David, if we have a change of political leadership and we actually can get a Republican in that beats Tim Walz and we can get a Republican attorney general, then yeah, man, we have to go after these people to reinstill faith in the system.
It happens in small steps, and it doesn't feel good, especially when you're I hate using the word victim now, but when you've been damaged by a certain topic, with this stuff, with this this scandal, you got to figure out who the actual victims are, and that's a whole like legalese kind of lawfare, kind of everything like that. But yeah, no, trust me, AK, I was thinking about that during this topic and be like, oh yeah, I'm still waiting on accountability. Or you say you've been monitoring kind of this thing over time, and you just keep waiting for people that have done the wrong thing to either acknowledge that they messed up or they did something intentionally, and it doesn't seem to happen, or at least in the case that's closest to me with the experimental mRNA technology, the mandates, all that kind of stuff. You see these glimmers of hope when an article comes out that, especially when children are passing away, when people are Brianne Dressen, who I'd love to talk with her on this show, where she was damaged by this stuff in the early times and kicked out of the trials. She was part of the trials, the initial trials of Pfizer, and I'm not going to tell her story. She can tell it better herself. But they basically she got damaged, and then she got removed from the population of the trials. So it was bad information to begin with. I could go down that route too. But yeah, no, these, we got to have some kind of accountability. It shouldn't just be a long letter word. It could be like, okay, now what are the results? Mainly, how does this not happen again? And that's what we dealt with in the military in a lot with our after action reviews, after action reports. Yeah, things are never going to go perfectly, but how do we minimize the destruction next time around and not just continue this bad motion?
Yeah, so I just kind of in closing, and then we can move on to the next topic here, David. So just, I think it's amazing to finally get some national attention on how awful and corrupt, not just Walz, not just Keith Ellison, not just Steve Simon, but basically every Democrat-controlled government office has a level of corruption, in my opinion, that if you actually shine some light and you start asking questions, you are going to start to get people that get real nervous, that flip. But I will say that shout out to that X account that again represents the voice of 480 basically government employees in the Walz administration in some way, shape, or form. Keep at it. I know that their account got suspended earlier today for a few hours and it came back, so that's a good thing. But keep plugging away. I know that, I mean, listen, I think that you have to find courage if you want to see change. And sometimes the hardest courage are people that are going to be negatively affected by standing up and saying, this is wrong what I'm seeing. So shout out to them. And David, you know, to move on to a happier note, you know, I'm happy that the fraud's being exposed. It's just so infuriating that it's still happening, and so much of it is just completely squandered taxpayer dollars. But on a lighter note, why don't you tell us about the Hmong New Year?
Well, yeah, let me just put a cap on that.
Yeah.
Real quick before we do that, though.
Go ahead, David.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to talk about, it was breaking. Yeah, we all got something. It was
Well,
breaking.
let me just finish
news
up the topic and just
today.
say I'm happy Trump called Tim Walz a retard. We need to make retards great again.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And I'm glad
What I was
that's
gonna say is-
in the congressional library or wherever that's going to go. It's not a bad word.
piece
It's
of
a medical
American history.
term. Yeah, but that's what we have to say.
Well-
There's medical precedent. The only thing I was going to say is there was that thing that came out, and I think Fox covered it, and a couple of other news stations. They were talking about that they're looking directly at Ilhan and, like, you know,
Oh,
the
my.
parts of her community with the Somali fraud, and they're actually, looks like they're going to be directly going after her and what she's doing with her money and her immigration status and the potential marriage to her brother. And that's good. That was the only other thing I was going to add to that, is that we didn't even get a chance to jump
Cool.
into that, but it all kind of comes
Yeah,
together because
hey,
it all
that's
happened
probably
under
not going
Walz's
anywhere.
watch.
I'm sure
Yeah,
the Ilhan,
yeah, we'll have
Il-
plenty of time to talk about that in the future.
the parable
absolutely.
of Ilhan in Minnesota is going to keep going on, and we'll talk about that in future things. So let's put a cap on that topic and go to David.
Absolutely.
What do you have to talk about when it comes to the Minnesota Hmong New Year? And thanks for
Absolutely.
linking that.
AM, can you throw up that graphic for me? I got an article here. It's a snippet. It's kind of long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically, we're looking at, so they had the 45th annual Minnesota Hmong New Year celebration, and Erica and I were both there. So I want Erica to jump in and tell me about how her experience with all of this. But it was an incredible event. We got to sit with Cha Vang and his family, and a bunch of, we had a bunch of really good, just conservative Republican leadership show up in force. There's this weird thing that keeps happening, and I'm going to let Erica talk about it too, but every Hmong event that I've gone to, that I've been privileged enough to be invited to participate in, the Democrats either don't show up, or they show up for like 5 minutes and leave. And I'm like, I get it, you're busy, but I mean, based on the way the money's being wasted in this state, you're not busy running the state. You could stick around for an hour or two and actually like participate in the culture that's in front of you. I mean, we've all seen the potholes. They're not doing anything outside. Like, you've got some time. Clearly your calendar is open. They're too busy swimming in their piles of money like Scrooge McDuck somewhere. But anyways, enough bashing people. So, but this event, incredible. We got to see all kinds of live music. There was like poetry was read. They had 2 different beauty pageants. They had one for Mrs. Hmong, so like the married women, and then they had one for Miss Hmong. And I'm not going to jump a ton into that because I know Erica got to interact with them a lot more. So I'm going to have her jump in and tell us about like some of the cool things she got to do there, and some of the people that she got to meet.
Well, actually, it was very well attended. Was a lot of people both days, Saturday and Sunday. Something about the Hmong community is very similar to the Latino community. They are very welcoming. The
Absolutely.
food is amazing. The food is delicious. They are very generous. They offer give you, this lady went take up a necklace and give it to me, just like that as a gift. The pageants were fun to watch, and definitely very welcome people. And something I really like, when they do the speeches, is how you say, they were talking about how grateful are to be in this country. They're given an opportunity for work and to be free, and they work hard. So I have a lot of respect when they say that, because they didn't trash America. They were grateful. They were enthusiastic to be part of America. I love that. that makes me fall in love with them.
Absolutely, it's
I
beautiful
think that
to
was my
see.
highlight.
And they started the entire event. It's a celebration of their New Year's, and yet they started
Yeah.
the entire event with a presentation of the colors and the national anthem. And they had one of their
Yes.
young women come out, excellent singing voice, and sing the national anthem to begin the whole thing. Because yes, they're 100% Hmong, but like I said in the last episode, they are one of the greatest examples that I've seen in my own lifetime of both fully successfully assimilating while also keeping your culture. But they're very good at being American and then being Hmong in a way that I've never seen. Like, I wish the Latino community could do this because I see so many of the pitfalls, and it comes down to gratitude. And I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. I'm like, entitled people become bitter people. And a lot of people
Hmm.
that immigrate here, they act entitled and then they can't get ahead. They struggle because an entitled mentality is not going to bring you success. And then you become a bitter person and you vote for the people that are playing on your bitter emotions. Whereas the people who come here that are grateful, they're a thriving community. I mean, we ran into doctors, lawyers. I think every single pageant contestant had a master's degree in something. I felt pretty stupid sitting there like, I go back to school. Uh, just incredible example of assimilation and gratitude and respect for the country, and as a veteran as well. Like, as soon as they find out I'm in the military, Drew, you'd love it. They immediately start handing you a ton of food and they shake your hand, and I'm not going to eat for the rest of the year because I've eaten all my calories in one
That's awesome.
weekend.
No, that's incredible,
um
David. Yeah, please share that with me next time and any other ones that come up.
yeah,
I love
I will definitely
attending
send you an invite.
yeah, any event where it's just like I'm out of my element and I have so much I can learn from people that, like you said, Erica, are grateful, are generous, are being, kind, going back to the values that, we all should share, even if we have different places where we came from, religions, whatever. Like, there's no reason we can't all agree on, having things like integrity, honor, duty, family, friendship, kind of doing the right thing. And so, yeah, I'm a big event guy. If you pretty much if you invite me to an event and I'm free and it's gonna be a good time, I'm there. I'm a social butterfly, but I like to get out there and learn and kind of have a good time. So no, that sounds like an amazing thing.
I'll
So
message you after the show. I have another event coming up.
awesome.
I was gonna say too. So I wasn't able to attend this year's Hmong New Year, but last year I was able to attend. And for our listeners and viewers that don't know, so basically when the Hmong people first came and were invited into the United States, it's because during the Vietnam War, they were helping American forces to fight against the commies,
Hmm.
and to a great detriment actually to their people. They were being systematically slaughtered. And so, the Hmong people, when they came to the United States, they were so grateful for being accepted into this country that that's what they call their new year. It was like literally the date that they were able to come into this country. And so they now have been in this country for 50 years. And here's the thing, like I'd like to stress this as much as possible. For the vast majority of us on the right, those of us that make up President Trump's MAGA coalition, and for most Republicans, we do not have a problem with legal immigration at all. We want people that want to improve and make this country better. And we also know that there are times when we ask people from other nations to fight with us that we are going to offer them opportunities to seek refuge here, because they actually did suffer greatly, and they put their own lives at risk. And so when you think about Afghanistan and the amount of people that we allowed over here, it's not the fact that we were allowing people to come here. It's the problem is that we didn't vet people. And there is a completely different conflict from, set of situations or circumstances for every group. And so with having a lot of Afghani refugees come to the United States, the problem is that the Biden administration, hopefully and woefully inadequate, they allowed a bunch of people in that probably didn't actually help us at all, because their vetting was so poor. And obviously, with the tragic assassination of a National Guard member, who tragically lost her life, and the other National Guard member actually today.
Yeah, AK, we covered that
Oh,
topic
good.
earlier,
Okay,
but I'd love
perfect.
to hear your opinion on that, on the
Yeah, let's
series
get
of
what you
events
think on
and
that. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but ultimately, right? Like that set of circumstances and the Afghanistan refugees was so botched and nasty. I 100% support what President Trump is talking about, is that we got to put a stop to this. We got to revet these people. But with Hmong people, that wasn't the case. They were highly, highly vetted because we didn't want a bunch of dirty commies sneaking into the country, to be completely candid with you. And I think that for by and large, the Hmong people have done a really, really great job, again, at those that said we want to make this country stronger. And so to go to an event like that, like the Hmong New Year, I would encourage people to go and check it out, see how the Hmong culture, how they thrive there, are very, like you said, they're handing you plates of food, they're handing you drinks. They are so thankful. And they like, you'll see American flags, and a lot of the Hmong people, now they're second, third generation into this country. But they do have reverence for this country. And so I just think it's important to just point out that we're not anti-immigrant on the right. We can have conversations about how many people we're letting in, for what purpose, and to what's, larger representation do they serve? Has it been helpful or harmful? And we can have those conversations, but I just encourage people to really look into the Hmong New Year events next year, as they'll be going on, and it's actually,
And they make
super
it so
fantastic.
accessible and
Yeah.
so cost effective. Like the general admission ticket to just go there and attend is like $15.
Yeah, super cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize I had a ticket set aside for me the first day, so I actually went and bought my ticket. And then afterwards, they're like, "Hey, we have a VIP pass for you," and I was like, "That's awesome." But
VIP.
um,
VIP.
well, they had one for you too. I
I
should have
know,
told
I
Drew
know,
to
I
come, and I would have been like, "Hey, you could use AKs next
There you
time.
go.
If he doesn't make it next year, I'm gonna be like, you can come sit in his seat." But what was I saying? Oh, but yeah, like they make it because they want the general public to participate in their culture and see who they are, and see that, it's part of that gratitude, like we were talking about, where they want us to be they want to include us and open that door.
That's a good
And I
point.
think that's
Like,
wonderful. And so
whatever
because those event
organization-
centers aren't cheap, and yet the tickets are so cheap.
Yeah, and that just proves that they probably, generate pool their money, kind of do, how do I put it? Use their money, and I'm trying to find the right phrase, but it's like something like being the right kind of stewards is the way I know it. But yeah, so meaning they handle their money pretty well, and it goes to the right kind of event, organization type of thing that can make a difference. And like I keep talking about, growing and building rather than destroying. So David, I like that you said that, where they're being, hey, that's the right kind of inclusive. It's like, hey, check this out. You're invited. We'll treat you well. We're not trying to, close everything off, because
Absolutely.
we're all a part of this community. That was at St. Paul River Center, which is an amazing venue. I've had
Yes, beautiful
National
facility.
Guard. Yep, National Guard big events for taking off for deployment and returning and stuff like that there. So no, that gives me a lot of encouragement. Any final
Real quick,
thoughts on
Drew, before we jump into talking to each other and interviewing the guest, I just want to say we do have a live chat in there. From, it looks like Nathan Manley 4203. He said, "What's up, homie?" That is, for those of you that don't know, Nathan is somebody that I actually served overseas with. So he's hopped on to support the channel.
There
just
we
wanted to give you
go.
a shout out,
We
Nathan.
got
If
viewer
you're
number
watching,
one.
Throw us a comment, ask us a question. We'd love to interact with you guys. But Drew, I'll let you obviously steer us into the next segment.
Yeah, just put a cap on that. That was really cool topic. Like I said, share that information. I often just sit alone in my house, just not knowing what to do. So I end up researching or making videos or making kind of plans. So yeah, let's get out there in the community, especially since COVID era times of being so closed off. We need to be part of one another, learning from each other, sharing values. So very cool thing. Now let's get into more of some happy topics, another one. And to start us off, I want to hear about Thanksgiving. So Erica, talk more about yourself. What did you do anything for Thanksgiving? What was that like for you in the last week?
Honestly, I didn't do anything. I have 4 children. All are adults. I have actually a former Marine, a U.S. Marine, a veteran. One of my sons right now just joined the Navy. And I have a daughter. So I have 3 boys and my daughter. And all are adults, so they all were busy, and I decided to just get a very good juicy steak and watch movies by myself.
Hey, there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with
that's
that. Yeah.
absolutely. So for me, it was very relaxed, and I love that.
No, that's great. Yeah, I had a pretty low key Thanksgiving. Kind of family's been expanding a little bit, outwards, I guess, and so
I was like,
kept
you
it
guys are
pretty.
getting fat? You guys need to go on a diet or
Yeah,
been
that too. No,
expanding?
I made my own. I made a what is called green bean casserole. So we did a
Oh,
small family one, and
nice.
then we had a friendsgiving in the evening time. So I made a
All
green
right, I'm
bean
gonna throw this
casserole.
back at you, Drew. Where was my invite? Because
Ah,
I'll go
okay, all
ham with
right.
some green
I
bean
hear you.
That's
casserole.
right. I want to come
Yeah.
to the casserole
I'll add you to the list. There was a lot of good food. It
next
was
year.
interesting. Like when you do a potluck friendsgiving, you get a ton of different kinds of food. So you end up just like dabbling in a lot of different stuff. So I brought the trademark, which I do pretty well, better than other things. I'm not a cook. And then I tried to do this. What was it, like a potato casserole with a few different things? I put a little bit too much hot sauce in it, so it was a little bit more like a dip, I guess, than eating it all together. But no, we had a good time. A lot of our kids our friend group has more kids now, so it's kind of cool to see them growing up and hanging around. So that was my Thanksgiving. What about you guys, David?
Yeah, absolutely. This year was kind of a little lower key for me as well. I haven't hosted a Friendsgiving in a while, and that's something I'm planning to work on fixing. Because I used to do one every year, like a week or two, like 2 weeks or 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, kind of somewhere in there, and that's always a good time. So in the future, we'll maybe we'll do a Culture Warriors Unchained Friendsgiving. But so this year I just went down to New Ulm where my parents live. And I had Thanksgiving with them. My father's had some medical stuff go on recently, so I'm trying to spend a little more time with them because, it's just kind of a reminder that, we've all got an expiration date, and you want to spend as much time as you can with family while obviously still pursuing your purpose, and your dreams and the things you're put on this earth to do. So I got to go down there and spend the day with them, and it was nice because it was just me. My sister was, with all of her children doing Thanksgiving, so I got to have some one-on-one time with my parents, which was nice, and just kind of have longer conversations about life and what I'm doing and what they're doing and what's important to them, and just we're in this cool place now where it's, I'm an older man. I'm in my mid 30s, and so the relationship, even like between me and my father, it's so different. The kind of conversations we have where it's almost like peers, and that's just that's really special. I've been leaning into that a little more. I
That's
think
so cool. Yeah,
every
that's a
man
good
should do
point.
that.
We go through
Absolutely.
seasons. Yeah, it's not always going to be that kind of a kid thing or college thing or now you're growing up. So it's yeah, I like that different connection. What about you, AK?
So I had two separate Thanksgivings. So for those people that follow me, um,
Overachiever.
yeah, my my side of the family, there's only three of us in our immediate family. So both of my parents have passed away. Both my grandparents have passed away, and my sister passed away. So it's me, my brother, my two younger brothers, Aziz and Latif. And Latif, he's single, and Aziz has a girlfriend and a baby. So there is a baby, and then it's me, my wife, and we don't have any
Ooh,
kids. So we got together last Sunday, and we actually had chili. Um,
ooh.
and then we had some other food. But on Thanksgiving, we hosted my wife's side of the family. And when we host, you got to make the turkey. And so I made a turkey and I made a ham. And I actually made this is the third year now in a row where when I've made a turkey, I make Chef Gordon Ramsay's Christmas turkey, which you take a mixture of butter and herbs and you put it underneath the skin and between the skin and the meat and you rub it all over and then you put it on the outside and then you drizzle olive oil and then you put it
Oh,
high
wow.
heat and then you put bacon all across it to keep it nice and moisturized.
Wow.
Delicious. It was a big hit again,
Yep, AK, I'm
flavorful.
inviting you. You're number one on the invite list.
And yeah, man, no, it was good. But the one thing I will say, Drew, I'm jealous because for whatever reason, my wife decided she wanted to go very traditional with our dishes. So we had potatoes, we had sweet potatoes, we had pumpkin pie. We did not have green bean casserole. We did not have party potatoes, and we did not have rutabagas, which this family makes all the time. But for some reason, my mother-in-law didn't want to make all these extra things, or mac and cheese. So I am jealous of that.
I keep hearing more about
having-
mac and cheese, and I saw it at this one. I'm like, I don't remember that being a staple of the
That's
Thanksgiving.
what black people like. All right, black people like mac and cheese. Mac
I'm
and
not
cheese with
opposed to
their
it.
nose.
I love me some mac and
I
cheese.
learned something new every day. I wasn't
Every
even
day.
aware
Me
that was a thing
too.
happening at
All
Thanksgiving.
right. Anyway, Erica, let's talk about you. What's going on in your world? What do you want to share with us, with our viewers, and everything like that? The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you, all of you, for having me over. It's been my pleasure, and you guys are amazing. I'm very happy of your work. I want to invite each of you and all together to come to my show as well. Um, I think my intention is, I was telling AK before, the Latino community don't know what really is happening because we only receive news from the main media. And and I think at this time we need to make sure people in all cultures and all language can know what really is happening in Minnesota, so we can change the course before the ultimate destruction, because we are going down very bad unless we do something, and it's critical for all of us as Minnesota people to do something about it and get involved in any level, shape, or form. So basically, if you guys have any Hispanic person or any leader that you know, please send it on my way. We do interviews in English and Spanish, and I have captions, so either English or Spanish to translate to people. Um, but yeah, and I'm very involved with the Republican Party as AK. So let me know if there's anything I can support you or help with. I'm very happy to help.
Yeah. What does the rest of the year look like for you? What does 2025 look like?
So I'm gonna have AK back because something happened with our production. But I have uh, um, several of the candidates for the Republican Party are coming. I have Christy Robbins. I already have some of them. Um, but I wanna have Christy Robbins, Lisa Demott, and now what is the name of the man who announced today? The
Chris
attorney,
Maddle.
Chris Meadow. Yeah,
Yep. Mhm.
yeah. I wanna have it over. Um, but I'm more excited for 2026 because I think after the whole, right now everybody's so distracted with the holidays. So I think starting 2026, we have to work really hard and make sure to choose the right candidate and to support that person until we get elected. We get him elected. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that was going to be my next question is like, what do you think 2026 would look like? What would you like to see? What's kind of realistic?
I don't know. I see a good chance in Minnesota to have a Republican governor after all the disaster of Wells. I think we need to take advantage of that. I think people, even Democrats, are tired and exhausted and fatigued of all the fraud and the corruption and the crime, that they are willing to go the other side and support a new candidate for sure. But it needs to be a very good candidate. It needs to be someone who can speak to the moderate Democrats, the moderate Republicans, someone who can speak to all communities. Um, so I hope we can find one. I think we have very good candidates. I mean, I'm curious to know from you, from all of you so far, what do you think about the candidates?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I'm the Republican National Committee man, and for me, what that means, and I mean this sincerely, I support our endorsement process. And so while I have personal favorites just from just my interactions and how I vibe with different people, and just my own personal thing, there are people that I personally like more, but I will support whoever the endorsed candidate is, and I'm also going to keep my vote I'm going to keep it secret because I am
Secret.
going to be an elected delegate. But I'm going to support the endorsed candidate. But I think we have a really good, robust field. I really do. I think there's a lot of really great candidates, have great ideas, and it's going to be like a full sprint to see who's going to come out on top. But I like the whole idea of iron sharpening iron. It's biblical. And ultimately, I think that's what's going to happen. What do you think, David? What do you think about our current field?
Yeah, I think it's I think we've got a really diverse net, if you will. And I like what I see with that. I'm going to agree with you on obviously I'm going to back the endorsed candidate, whoever that is. I think the worst thing we can do in the Republican Party, especially in Minnesota here, is fall into infighting during an election cycle. I mean, after like the Trump victory and all the stuff that's come out about the Biden administration, and now all the stuff coming out about Walz here in Minnesota, and even like Ellison and all this other stuff, we have a golden opportunity. They've essentially, they've fumbled the ball so hard, and all we have to do is pick it up and run with it. And the worst thing we could do is start, is not backing the endorsed candidate or infighting. And that's kind of the problem with having a party full of independent thinkers, is we don't always think the same thing. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it.
I need to
How
learn
about
more.
you, Drew?
Yep. I don't know. I have a lot of knowledge on the local politics, especially being a mid-year and everything like that. But I'm happy to learn. So I'm one of those people where, yeah, I need to dive in a little bit more when it comes to the local stuff. Like I said,
I think
invite me to events and I can learn.
Also, I was going to
Sure.
ask Erica. So you said earlier that you said 4 children or 3 children?
four, yeah,
4
four,
children.
3
4
boys,
children.
1 girl.
Congratulations.
3 boys, 1 girl.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Well, I'm just kind of curious, like, do they like to do media stuff? Because you're a natural with your radio show. Like I've went and watched, and for our listeners and watchers, they are subtitled, so you can still watch it, and even if you don't speak Spanish. But she has a lot of really amazing interviews, and you are a natural at it. So I'm just kind of curious, like, are your kids, are they in the media realm? Are they like, no, mom, she's just that? And then I'm just kind of curious, like, what's your background? Were you classically trained in media? Were you a journalist? I'm just kind of curious.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me tell you, I'm not. Um, I actually, when a good friend told me, I think you need a coach because we need to work in your accent. And it's true, and they say you need to improve your English, and I say, well, that's a very good feedback, and I actually working and get some classes or something, because I do know that I have a very strong accent. But answer your question, no, none of my boys they don't involve in anything like that. But my daughter has done a lot of media because she's in a modeling agency, so she's more like doing stuff. So sometimes she do some media stuff for commercials or something.
Cool.
But no, everything, just to tell you the truth. So I'm an immigrant, and I've been in the United States for 30 years. For life circumstances, I ended up being a single mother of 4 kids, because it's a very long story, but kind of sad. So the father of my kids are not in the picture in any way, shape, or form. He's mentally ill. He's not there. So and I always have to work 2, 3 jobs to take care of my kids. And somehow I was able to, have a bachelor's degree. Then I did my master's degree, and I work in the community as an advocate and an educator. I work as a teacher in schools and all of that. And then I start seeing, the pattern, the people working hard, and how you can overcome many obstacles. And I'm telling you, I come from my background is very poor in Mexico. I was abandoned for my parents. I was literally almost homeless. So I come from a very poor background. And coming to America, I don't think I will never be able to raise 4 kids by myself in Mexico. And I love Mexico. It's a great country. People are super nice. So I feel so grateful. Like, it makes love. I have so much love for America. that start make me angry when I see people taking advantage of that. The system and mistreating or talking bad about America, it makes me really angry. So, but I become my podcast because my friend, the owner of Minnesota Latin Radio, she also was working for Univision. So for a conflict of interest, she cannot be in the face of the Minnesota Latin Radio. So she asked me, like, can you help me to do these interviews? And soon enough, people start calling her and say, oh, I want Erica to interview me. So, and then she told me, why you don't just have a show, just have a program every week? And that's how I start. And now I have a long list of people that I have to get to interview, but it's great to have a conversation with people and experts in topics that they can come and talk about what really is happening and not just relay in the main media. But so that's my
That's
story.
awesome. No, that's very inspiring, Erica. It's very cool. Yeah, but I've
The
gotten
American
similar
dream
things.
live and in action. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's the
Exactly.
way it should be. And maybe I'm just giving me my theme where it's like I like focusing on the builders, and you are definitely a builder. And like you
Thank
said,
you.
we're going to go through life is going to happen. It's not going to go the way that we think it is. But it's how that you go about it when that life happens, and taking feedback. Like I can hear the humbleness, humility in your words, and that's incredible. So yeah, as long as you keep taking that feedback, going through life, building things, connecting with people, yeah, you're gonna move mountains. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Anytime you need us on your radio show, or you want to have us just send us a message. We'll figure it out. We'll do what we got to do to be there.
Of
We
course,
support what you're doing as well.
we need to
Absolutely.
work. We need to
Yeah,
work all together,
let's
right?
do it.
So
Erica,
we
can
need
we
to
talk for a
support
little
each
bit longer?
other.
Do you got another 15 minutes in you?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Awesome. What other questions do we have for Erica? I mean, I got one. What's your kind of favorite movie or TV show right now? Or what do you like to watch?
I like movies a lot. Actually, I
Pop
recently, and
culture.
I highly I like, there is a movie about the Nazis. I don't know, the actor is Russell Crowe and
What is it about?
Rami Malek. It's about after the Nazis were in I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Now
It'll come to you.
I'm tired. Yeah, I like movies for the most part. I like more like dancing. I love dancing. You guys should go dance sometime. We should go dance sometime. Um, I don't really
I
go.
have a
I don't
standing
really go.
invitation at a Thai restaurant that's
Oh, really?
owned by some people that we got to hang out with over this weekend.
Oh,
So
yes.
if we all want to go out, we can go dancing. We can go live
Game
over there.
on.
Why not? AM, you're down for that, right? You could edit that video, make us look good.
There we go. What other questions for
throwing
our
Erica?
business
Well, we
under the
got
bus
her.
Well,
over there.
you
My
know,
bad.
my life is. But I would like more. You guys tell me about you, what you do, Drew. What I know, AK. I mean, I found it in social media because he's very famous, and I said, "Oh, I need to know. I need to know him." But yeah, I would like to know more about you, Drew,
Yeah,
and
we
you,
can get
AK,
more
and
into it.
please,
Yeah,
please.
we're coming to the end of it right now, but yeah, Army veteran, and similar to you, I just kind of life hit me in the face and decided to not just sit around and like I said, be that victim or that person that blames society or bad people and stuff like that, and decided to make something kind of good out of it. And I get praise for stuff, and I don't know if I deserve it, but I have my good days and bad, but I always try to kind of keep moving forward. So I'm retired from the Army now, and now I'm just kind of figure out my new way. I guess you can call me a consultant. So I'd like to kind of get out there, do speaking engagements, do one-on-one training when it comes to different stuff, things that I learned along the way, and that I believe would make a good culture, make good individuals. And like I said, yeah, just get out there learning from each other. And that's what it's all about. We can't all be on our own islands, because that's no way to do it. You got to take a risk. But what comes with that risk is something for pretty cool. So that's kind of my thing. But let's kind of do that. So yeah, David and AK, let's both do a kind of tell Erica more about you, but at the same time, let's kind of do a wrap up too. So David, kind of what's going on?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Erica, I know you and I we've talked a little bit, but we haven't been able to dive into a ton of my backstory, and I know our viewers have heard some of it, but we're actually really similar in a lot of our origins. I was born in Peru, obviously third world country, failed government. They've had like 10 civil wars in my lifetime alone. It's kind of a mess down there. Not to say that everything's bad down there, but just, the life I was expecting to have down there was not anything of quality. My sister and I were in an orphanage when my parents came down to adopt us. And, I got adopted by two very conservative Christian white people, and I never felt like I wasn't their kid. And I came to this country, essentially with nothing. And everything that I've gotten to achieve in this life is because someone took pity on us, and chose to love us and give us a home. And it's just, yeah, it just led me to this just incredibly grateful this place in my life where, I chose to make English my primary language. I chose to fully assimilate and be one with these people. And then, 9/11 happened, and we grew up in upstate New York before we moved here to Minnesota. And I just felt, that sense of gratitude, like I need to be a part of this fight to protect this country, this place that is now my home. This is now something personal to me. And then after the military, I kind of went through some struggles and some difficulties, and I actually got offered the opportunity to be involved in politics years ago in my mid to late 20s. And I didn't get involved at the time. I kind of had this mentality of, what could I really offer the Republican Party or the conservative movement? I'm just a guy fresh out of the Army, kind of struggling to find my way. And from that, we ended up with 4 years of Joe Biden. And I'm not saying that me being involved would have saved anything, but it kind of woke me up to looking at things the way they are, which is, if you have these, if we share our values and you believe the things that we believe in the more conservative circles or even the moderate circles, and you don't get involved in politics, then the government that you're forced to live under, it's you did it to yourself. And so that, the last Trump's major victory last year, that kind of activated me, and I've gotten more involved in politics, and I've gotten to meet people like AK and Drew and, people in the Hmong community, other people in the Latino community, and just a ton of state representatives that are a part of the Republican Party. And I just feel so blessed. And it's just a reminder, I always try to impress upon people, the great thing about this country is there's no ceiling and there's no floor. You can do absolutely nothing and be as unsuccessful as you want to be, or you can work your tail off 100 times more than the people around you and achieve great heights that you never would have anywhere else. And I always keep that in mind. And that's kind of what drove me to where I am now with the nonprofit stuff I do, with even the job that I chose working in healthcare, and then, getting to work with these two incredible guys as we get to know each other, we figure out our chemistry and what we're doing. And it's been an incredible life. And it's really easy to poke holes in the lies that Democrats tell minorities. When one of the first things they tried to come and tell me was that Republicans don't like brown people or immigrants, and I'm like, I wrote a Father's Day card and a Mother's Day card to two of the whitest people I know, and like they're potato salad at the Sunday function at church and mayonnaise on every sandwich, kind of white people. And like, you
With
put too much
raisins
pepper
or
in something.
without raisins in the potato salad?
With raisins. They're Lutherans. But like, if you put too much pepper in the food, they're coughing. You know what
There
I mean?
you
Like,
go.
Spicy.
and they
Well,
love
David,
it. And absolutely.
where can people find you? We'll do your closing.
Yeah,
We'll do it,
absolutely. You
then
can
go to
find me
AK.
on all social media as David Webster. I think it's Webster50 on X. Obviously, you can find me here on Culture Warriors Unchained with my two co-hosts. And then upcoming, we're going to be at AmFest. I think Erica and I are going to a Christmas party this Wednesday, and I'll let her talk about that when in a little bit here. But yeah, well, I'm kind of going to be all over the place.
There we go. AK, talk about yourself and then do your closing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably know who I am. For those of you that don't, I'm the Republican National Committee man. I represent the state of Minnesota to the Republican National Committee. I was elected to a 4-year term. And so in that role, I go to 3 meetings a year. I also help out in the state. I'm on the executive committee. So I'm the guy that's basically helping run the Republican Party, both in the state of Minnesota and nationally. It's mostly herding cats for the most part, like ERD, not hurting, HURTING. Yeah, it's been phenomenal. I love helping try to get candidates and local party leaders the information that they need to help and try and win their elections, and be able to be involved in it has truly been a blessing. Personally, I've been making content online for the last 3 years that's overtly Republican and conservative in nature. I have a fantastic time doing that. If you want to follow me and see the type of content that I put out there, you can follow me on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Real AK Kamara. Over on TikTok at AK Kamara. I haven't been putting out as many videos the last weekend, and so just because, family time, Thanksgiving, all that type of stuff. A lot of bangers though on X. So if you follow me on X, I've still been dropping some good bangers. But make sure that you guys like this video, share this video, follow us on our multiple social media platforms. You can find us most places, either Culture Warriors Unchained or CW Unchained on most platforms. And we do appreciate all the views that we've had, all of the shares and comments. Keep them coming. This is going to be a fantastic journey. And one last little piece. I had mentioned last week that I got an invite to go to the vice president's residence for a Christmas party. And me and my wife may or may not tomorrow purchase our tickets so we can go and partake in those festivities next Tuesday. But that means that we'd be flying out, and so I wouldn't be able to do the show next Monday. So a programming note, probably won't be able to do the show because we've got some stuff going on once I'm out there in DC. But I'll be back the week after, and we'll talk all about going to the vice president's residence and seeing how that whole thing plays out. And I feel blessed and honored that I even got the invite, but that's it for me.
Wow.
Great. And just going back to the chat, we got Nathan who said a couple more comments. I might pronounce this wrong, but got a Spachik the turkey. I don't know what that means.
Nice.
And then he says, my goal for Christmas is to smoke a turkey on my offset smoker.
Nice.
So
Yeah, and
show your recipes.
It's got a spatchcock. It's spatchcock the turkey. Is
We're trying to not get canceled by YouTube.
Aired
on the side of caution, and I respect
that is a
it.
technical term.
Erica, tell us where people can find you, and please stay on until the stream is closed. But yeah, tell people where they can find you.
Okay, you can find my Facebook as Erica Rivera. It's very easy to find me. And otherwise, look for me through AK because we are friends on Facebook. But Erica Rivera on Facebook, Erica Kennedy on Instagram, and in Minnesota Latin Radio, MN Minnesota Latin.
MN Latin Radio. Yes. Erica.
Okay. Erica, did we lose you?
Please,
No, she's still there. Yeah, I just think her account, her connection's not that great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, Erica, we might be losing you. If you want to jump back in, go ahead as I kind of wrap up. At Drew Outstanding is where you can find me on X. That's where I've been off X lately. I don't know why, but I've been off. So I've been jumping back on and seeing kind of the craziness with that story that AK was talking about with, or us, maybe whoever it was talking about with the damaged children of the mRNA stuff. Eric, are you back with us? You might be muted.
Yeah, we're not able to hear you.
Okay, no problem. I'll wrap up. But yeah, Erica was amazing. Thank you for being on the show this week. I look forward to getting to know you more and doing some events. That'd be absolutely crazy. So yeah, at Drew Outstanding on X, YouTube Operation Outstanding in Field. I'm going to work on shortening that. And so it's a little bit easier to kind of get through. But now that we have snow, we got snow here in Minnesota. So I'm going to be doing some sit down skiing, some adaptive skiing. my goal is to compete in the adaptive sports world. So if
Let's
anybody
go.
Let us
out
know when
there,
that's happening so we can come and view it.
yep, please. I what is it called? I qualified independent last year, so I don't need
Dope.
any more
Incredible.
hands-on instructors and stuff like that. So I can do it myself, or I can go up, or I can go down the mountain, get on the chairlift myself, and then take the chairlift up and go up and down with this big adaptive ski contraption. But there's a lot of technology out there, so doing amazing things. But yeah, thank you to all the people that watch this episode, the people that are gonna catch it in the replay. We're doing some awesome things. We got America Fest coming up, and yeah, we got some big things coming up for there. So thank you, everyone. We're gonna say good night with
Real
Culture
quick before you do that, I
Warriors
just want to let everybody
Unchained.
know. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was
Yep.
just going to say, Erica just sent me a quick message just letting me know that she got disconnected from us. So she didn't just bail on us. She was going to stay and say goodnight to everybody. But yeah, if you want to sign off for us, I just want to
Yeah,
let the
no
viewers know
problem.
that.
Very good episode. We had some rough topics earlier, but some happy moments too, such as life. I don't know if we have a catchphrase yet, but we're just going to salute and say, God bless America and have a good night. Merry Christmas and whatever you want to go with it. Just be a good human. Good night.